Welcome in, everyone, to more Dynasty Fantasy Football content. This time, I'm bringing you my top 5 Dynasty buys for 2024. Let's say you're out of the playoffs, and if you're in my preferred Dynasty format, you'd have no trade deadline, so you can still trade. In that case, you can take advantage of assets that won't help contenders, but will help you in 2024 next season. Let's jump into the first one. Anthony Richardson, of course, the much forgotten Anthony Richardson, because he only played 4 games this year. But in those 4 games, he scored 4 rushing touchdowns and averaged 34 rushing yards per game, despite only completing 2 of them. He played less than 35% of snaps in 2 of the 4 games, but he still averaged those numbers. But more importantly, he didn't look outmatched against NFL competition. I worried coming into the NFL that he was just not ready to play. But he actually looked fine. He looked, for a rookie, solid. Certainly better than Bryce Young has looked all year. Additionally, Richardson had that success before Josh Downs kind of emerged as more of a solid wide receiver to complement to Michael Pittman. We also have Jonathan Taylor extended. Colts head coach Shane Steichen is clearly a genius. The offense has still been good with Gardner Minshew. They're 7-6. They're in the playoff hunt, which is hard to believe, but that's the reality. So for all those reasons, I'm sure the Colts are going to retain Michael Pittman on at least a franchise tag, if not a long-term contract. I fully believe in Anthony Richardson. He shows rushing upside. He looked good. He's a good head coach. Solid complement of weapons with the cap space to add because he's on a rookie deal. Everything is good around him. So if I can trade, let's say, Dak Prescott, I'm going into 2024. I have Dak Prescott. If I can trade him for Anthony Richardson and something, I feel like I'm winning that deal in Dynasty. So that's the kind of move I would look to do to acquire Anthony Richardson if I'm out of the playoffs. The next one, Michael Mayer. Now, Michael Mayer is a good example of someone who's showing something that's good for Dynasty, but it's useless for fantasy football right now. If a contender has him, nobody is starting Michael Mayer in the fantasy playoffs. He has 80% snaps or more, though, in all of the last 6 games, which is great for Dynasty. It's just not leading to any fantasy points. He has completely overtaken Austin Hooper on the depth chart. There's no question as to him being the tight end starter. Despite that snap share, though, over the last 6 games, he only has totaled 13 catches for 136 yards and a touchdown on 20 targets. Not impressive numbers. Although he is consistently involved. Of course, the problem is Aiden O'Connell. Aiden O'Connell has not delivered for fantasy football. And when he does deliver, he focuses on Davante Adams and Davante Adams first, foremost, and only. So he's not delivering for Michael Mayer. However, the Raiders will have a better quarterback next year. It's not going to be Aiden O'Connell. I don't know who it's going to be, but it's going to be someone better than Aiden O'Connell. Even if it's Justin Fields. Justin Fields has made Cole Kmet into something good this year. Good. Additionally, they just signed Jacoby Myers to that free agent contract. He's still going to be there. But Davante Adams, I think, is going to be gone. This is a total tear-down rebuild. I know the cap space says you can't trade him. He's going to be gone. He's not going to be playing for this nightmare. So whoever they replace Davante Adams with is not going to be Davante Adams. So Michael Mayer is going to have to step up. And additionally, in year 2 as a tight end, he's still going to grow. He has a lot of room to grow in his game. I'm fully confident in him as a Dynasty asset. He turns 23 in July 2024, so still a young player. I would love to trade someone like Jake Ferguson or David Njoku. We know what these players are for the potential of Michael Mayer. Maybe even I would consider trading Evan Ingram, who's going to turn 30 next year. For Michael Mayer plus, you can probably get. These are some things I would look to do to acquire Michael Mayer in Dynasty. Next, Kendre Miller. I get it. Kendre Miller has done nothing as a rookie. Nothing at all. 28 carries for 83 yards, 9 catches for 111 yards, which is pretty impressive on the receptions, but not good on the ground. But Kendre Miller was still a 3rd-round pick with an excellent college profile. There is no way that Alvin Kamara and Jamal Williams will continue to hold up as they both enter their age 29 seasons in 2024. Miller was great in college. He had 361 carries for 2,410 yards and 29 catches for 220 yards in a 3-year college career. He was an early declare, entered the NFL at 21 years old, doesn't turn 22 until June 2024. This player is not even 22 years old today. So we cannot just give up on him. Perhaps you can get him for nothing. I think people have written Kendre Miller off. If a contender has Kendre Miller somehow sitting on their roster, would they accept something like Ezekiel Elliott or a temporary quarterback in a superflex league like Jake Browning or Tommy DeVito, temporary quarterback to help them if they need quarterback, let's say, in exchange for Miller? I haven't given up on Miller's talent, and he's definitely someone I'm looking to buy for 2024 because literally things cannot get worse than they've been this year. The next one, Christian Kirk. Kind of interesting, a little different than the other players I've been listing because Kirk is not a super young player, but he will miss the rest of the 2023 season with a core muscle injury, which, of course, makes him useless to dynasty contending rosters. Now, it's gone a little under the radar, but Kirk has essentially duplicated his 2022 production in 2023. 4.9 receptions and 65.2 yards per game in 2022. 4.8 receptions and 65.6 yards per game in 2023, despite leaving this last game after just one play. Production is identical. Thing is, he's had a few less touchdowns because the touchdown regression has gone more to Travis Etienne this year and less to the quarterback, Trevor Lawrence. But it's very clear that Christian Kirk is a part of the Jaguars' long-term plans. They signed him to that contract. He's played very well since he's been on it. He's not going anywhere. However, Calvin Ridley is an unrestricted free agent. I'm not sure they're going to re-sign him. Even if they do, Kirk has been the wide receiver one, not Ridley this year. Contending dynasty rosters might be able to afford losing Kirk because he's been good, but he's not thought of as like a super stud or anything. They might be willing to give up Kirk for someone who can help them win now. I would look to get rid of an expiring asset who still has some value, but, a lot older. DeAndre Hopkins would be a player maybe. Could you trade DeAndre Hopkins for Christian Kirk? Let's say you were a failed contender. You just missed the playoffs. You have DeAndre Hopkins on your team. Team in the playoffs has Christian Kirk. Could you get that done? Joe Mixon, same thing. There's a lot of players in that range. Calvin Ridley himself, potentially. So any players on that list. Contenders will do desperate things to win. So give it a try in your league. You never know what's going to happen. Last one. This one is more of a pure buy than anything else. Quentin Johnston. It's more that, Johnston hit a low point in week 12. He was benched. But over the last 2 games, he's responded strong. He has 8 catches for 143 yards over the last 2 games, which is solid. He's sitting at 29 catches for 333 yards and touchdown on the season. Now, that's bad. For a first-round pick, that's bad. Don't get me wrong. But it's not the total wipeout, nothing rookie year it was looking like early on. He still has 4 more games. Maybe he can get to 500 yards. It's not good, but it's not the worst of the worst. Unfortunately, Johnston started improving right as Justin Herbert is now out for the year with his fractured finger. So the offense is not going to move with Easton Stick at quarterback. So Johnston will probably go right back under the radar. Even though Keenan Allen is going to miss this Thursday night game, I still can't imagine that Quentin Johnston is going to be any good. However, I'd still like to buy Johnston for his long-term potential. The Chargers are in salary cap hell. They can save over $20 million by releasing Mike Williams or Keenan Allen. As I've said many times, I expect them to release Williams and keep Allen and move Quentin Johnston into that Mike Williams role. When you have first-round draft capital, you get multiple chances. And the Chargers are almost certainly going to have a new head coach who might be more competent than Brandon Staley. It's a very low bar. For example, I recently made a trade sending Keaton Mitchell for Quentin Johnston. I would still much rather have the potential of Johnston. So there are other similar trades I'm sure that you can do to acquire Quentin Johnston. Might want to do it before this week as he's going to get a chance to play as the number 1 wide receiver with Keenan Allen out. Anyway, if you like the video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Check out all the Dynasty content that we're doing. Dynasty Stash videos the last 2 weeks have each had over 1,000 views. So make sure to watch those. In addition, at the bottom right corner, you can see the link to subscribe. So make sure to do that. And until next time, I will see you all later. Peace out.